Are you working with someone you can't stand? We've all been there. Working with people I want to punch in the throat has been called relatable and laugh out loud hilarious. Read the stories about all the crazy people Jen Mann has worked with over the years. Find out who she wants to punch in the throat. Working with people I want to punch in the throat is now available everywhere books are sold.
Hi, I'm Denise Grover-Swank.
And I'm Jen Mann.
And we are two Midlife Mommas.
Welcome to our podcast.
I'm going to say something super snarky right here. I'm sorry if our voices
Oh, no. Denise is going to apologize for our voices.
No, we'll leave it, or we'll have Ross cut it out.
Or we might keep it.
I'm feeling a little snarky right now. So.
I shouldn't have told you that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I saw a review online where somebody was talking about our voices and that they don't really care to hear our voices.
So, here's my answer. Don't listen.
Right.
Don't listen. Okay, I'm going to put this out here, and it's pretty obvious to me. I am not an actress. I do not, record things, although you did. You just recorded your audiobook.
I did, and I'm sure I'll get 1-star reviews on that, too. So I'd rather be judged for the content than for my voice.
Know, right? But... So, yeah. You know what? This is me.
Right?
Me, so.
Well, it just cracked me up because I was telling Denise, I was like, I've received a lot of negative reviews on things. I get hate mail. I said, but for some reason, saying something about our voices really, that one set me over the edge. And part of it was because we're a team, and I felt bad. I was like, no, damn it. And so I couldn't go out in a blaze of glory because I wanted to go out in a blaze of glory and, record a message for this person and send it to them, telling them to eat a bag of dicks. But I didn't. And because I feel because Denise and I are a team in this, and so part of it is why I felt so upset too, because I was like, you're offending my friend too. And then the other part was I have to be calm down, Jen. It's not just about you. They hate Denise's voice too.
That's right.
So thank you for powering through our voices. We appreciate it.
That's right. So you just came back from New York.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I was there for a couple weeks. I did. I recorded a new audiobook for people I want to punch in the throat.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's I never know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I think I did okay. I don't do voices, so that's always hard. Because, real audio readers, they actually have voices and characters. And I don't. And so hopefully it'll still be entertaining, though.
Yeah.
And then I went to a book festival out in Morristown, New Jersey, which is actually where I grew up. And so that was kind of fun to see my old town, and I got to see some friends I hadn't seen since elementary, middle school, and high school. So that was really fun.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
So it was like a reunion.
It was like a little tiny reunion.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't lose your voice while you were recording?
I didn't. The first day I thought I was going to, but it helped because I'd sent my whole family away. They'd been with me earlier, and we'd done sightseeing and stuff, and then I sent them away when it was time to record. And so I could go back to my hotel room and not talk. So I managed to
How many hours a day did you record?
We did about 4 to 6 hours a day, depending. Wow. And so the first day was the big day, and that's why I almost lost the voice. And so then we slowed it down.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's fun.
They must not have thought your voice was annoying, so it must be me.
No, I don't think they care. I think they feel hey, man, that's your voice. If this is what you want to do it.
Right, yeah, because you wanted to record your own audio.
I did, yeah.
Which makes sense because it's nonfiction.
Yeah.
It's you, so.
Yeah, I think when it's a memoir, it just makes more sense. I would never I have a fiction book, and I would never record that book. It just is not what I would do.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either. So, yeah. You were brave.
Thanks. I tried.
So today we are going to talk about toxic relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. So we get a lot of inspiration from Jen's group, Midlife Bites.
Yes.
And we see a real pattern with women who are in toxic relationships.
Yeah. Either with their spouses or their kids or their friends or their parents. It kind of... I'm the one who has to approve everything, and I'm trying to keep it lighthearted and fun in there too, but I also want it to be a place where people can go for help, you know? And so But there's like a lot, and so I struggle with how much of this kind of stuff to let in there, because some of it is so toxic that you're just like, geez, I don't think you want to air that. Like, this is it's a private group, but yet you don't know these people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes when you don't know people, you feel a little more comfortable sharing things. But I think people sometimes do forget that it's still the internet.
Yes.
And there's screenshots.
Yes.
Like, I'm very cognizant, like when I send Facebook messages, that they could be screenshot at any time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's it. If there's names that are named or court dates or, I'm just like, I'm not going to approve that.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was.
Because that's smart, because they could actually subpoena.
Yeah. And I don't want to get, I've got my own toxic relationships. I don't need to get dragged into yours.
Yeah.
So I just try to, but I did want to talk about it today, because I think that it is something that, whether you think you have a great relationship with everybody, you probably don't. Like, everybody has a few toxic people in their lives.
Right.
And so,
unless you're just like extremely lucky. Because they're just toxic people in the world.
Totally.
So, yeah.
I mean, luckily we don't have toxic coworkers, I would say.
Right.
That is the real nice thing. I always joke that I could never.
Although my dog Duke is kind of an asshole, so he's a little toxic.
Is that the little one?
He's the little long-haired dog.
Oh, he's ferocious.
Yeah, he barks at everyone and everything.
Right.
Yeah, so he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah. So so, how do you deal with his toxicity?
I tell him to shut up.
I put him in the yard.
I can't usually do that with coworkers that are humans. So,
well, that's a nice thing. I felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like, once I stopped working in the corporate world, I think that, a lot of the stories I hear from people, I mean, I actually wrote a book about working with people I went to the road.
Yeah.
And so it's like I hear all these stories from people about bosses and coworkers, and and it's just like there isn't a lot you can do with that kind of stuff. I mean, when
you're kind of stuck.
Yeah. Like, when I worked in an office, I kind of just laid low and just tried to do my job.
That's what I used to do.
Get out of there at 5 o'clock. But then I also didn't get promoted.
Right.
Because it's like I wasn't going to play the reindeer games.
Right.
So that's the hard part too. Like, I don't know how to give advice about balancing that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But I think as far as like friends, I've cut tons of toxic friends out of my life.
Yeah, I have to. And
I
had a working relationship. I had a job once when I lived in Little Rock. I worked for about 5 months at a VA hospital. So VA already has like that kind of like tone to it, right?
Yeah.
But I was hired by the University of Arkansas, but I worked in the VA hospital. I processed renal biopsies. So I used to work in the medical lab. I was a histologist. So I processed the renal biopsies, and that was my job. And so because it was the VA hospital kind of atmosphere, people were used to, they just did their job and they did nothing more. Well, some days my job only had 2 hours worth of work.
Oh.
And I'm not one to just sit around. So like I was always like, offering to help, and like at first they were like, "You're a weirdo. What are you doing?"
Calm down. We don't do that here.
Right. But when I was hired, when I interviewed, the lab director told me, he goes, "Well, we have a lot of strong personalities here." And I said, "That's okay. I get along with most people." And he goes, "Well, some people just really have a really hard time getting along with these people." So it was like his way of warning me that I was about to enter into a toxic work zone.
Oh.
And it was true. I did. But I won them over.
Really?
Because I just, and it wasn't even like trying to, except for one guy. I wasn't even necessarily trying to, but like I said, I don't like to sit around. So I would offer to help. And so by the time I left after my 5 months, they were actually like sad to see me go, and especially my boss,
because you did all the work. Okay, but let's talk about that though. So like you were happy to do the work though, but like and like I'm happy.
Well, I didn't like take on extra, but like if I was not doing anything, but then I noticed too, like some days I would have a lot of work.
Yeah.
So then since I had helped them, when I had a lot, they started helping me.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of reciprocal, yeah.
Because that's my whole problem is that I feel like
sometimes
I feel like I'm the only person working. Like, and then I get pissed off. Then the job, because my boss is like, "Oh, well, you finished all that? Well, then here, do Susie's work too." Yeah. Susie needs help, and I'm like, "Fucking Susie! Like, what have you been doing all day?" Yeah. Playing solitaire on your computer.
And it wasn't any of that. Like, they just So then they started, like, I remember one day I had a lot to do, and several of them jumped in and helped me. So
aren't you charming? See, I miss that gene. think when they handed out the charming gene, I did not get
Although
that.
I had one guy who like loved to. So I had to walk from the VA hospital to the university hospital to take the slides for the pathologists that were there to read. And so I always would like attach it to my break because my husband was working over there. So I like walk over and then meet him in the cafeteria and come back, and the same for lunch. Well, actually lunch I went to the daycare. But there was one guy who was always like looking at the clock when I was like leaving. I'm like, dude, you're not my boss.
Right?
You're not my boss.
Sit down.
He's also the same guy who, in all seriousness, I had an issue with someone and he was like, if you need a hitman, I know somebody. I think he was serious.
Oh my gosh. I need his number. No, I don't. But, oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
I'm pretty sure he was serious.
I don't like the people who like micromanage. I don't like the people who's like, it's not my job. Like, or excuse me, it's not your job to tell me what my job is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a coworker like that, and we were equal, but she had more seniority. She'd been there longer, and it irked her that I would go to the boss. Like, she wanted me to tell her everything and then have her be the go-between. I'm like, well, that's dumb. And even the boss doesn't like that. Like, I'm just going to go to the boss and tell the boss.
Yeah.
And it just drove her crazy. And she would just be like, I don't think that's what he wants. And I'm like, do you want a memo? Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And this is between me and him.
Yeah. Like, if he wants you to know about it, we'll call you. And again, it's nothing personal. It's nothing private. Like, it's just... It's wasting your time for you to come with me or whatever. So that's the part that frustrates me. But I think the nice thing about it as I get older is that I work alone now. So that's really great because I probably would not do well in a job anymore. Like, I can't imagine working in a cubicle farm anymore.
Yeah, I've worked too much on my own now to, you didn't start the timer. So I don't know how long we've been talking.
Yeah, somebody will tell us at some point.
I've been working on my own. It would be hard for me to go back to the workplace, and I like setting my own hours, deciding when I'm going to work or how much, and some
and
days,
how we're going to work it.
Yeah, because like this week is kind of my off week, even though I still work, but like I turned in a book on Monday, so
congratulations.
So I like am waiting for the edit notes, and then I'll be like crying. So I've been like catching up on things, and so like there was one day, Tuesday, I just didn't feel like doing anything, and I laid on the sofa a good part of the day and watched TV, and I felt majorly guilty. But at the same time, like some days, like I was trying to get my book done on Sunday over the weekend to turn it in on Monday morning, and my 12-year-old was like, "Mom, I think you're a workaholic." I was like, well, there's some truth to that, but I said I like what I do, and I can like. Sometimes I'm not working when other people think I should be. And so,
Or they don't understand. Like, a lot of times I used to work at the pool. I used to take my laptop to the pool so my kids could swim. And I would work at the pool, And I'm like, no, I'm working. But I'm just work. I think it's like, I think a few years ago I added up like how many hours I put into my job versus my salary.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good. But my peace of mind is better. Like, I'm happier because I did get rid of those like toxic people at the office.
Yeah.
And, and then I started realizing that I just need to cut out toxic friends too.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It was dragging me down.
Short. And I think some of that came with me too in my 40s when I started becoming more confident about who I was and what I wanted and what I didn't want.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had a little more, I didn't feel so guilty about cutting those people out.
How did you cut them out?
I kind of ghosted.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I had like a big conversation where I was like, we're done.
Like we were like best friends or anything. They were just like kind of people that I saw every so often, and so I just kind of slowly made myself less available.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, and I mean,
it's better than a big confrontation. Like, you're a real bitch, Jamie. I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Here's the list of reasons why. Yeah. Although sometimes I worry that I'm the toxic friend, like because I read all these articles. You see all these people share these articles where they'll say stuff like, friends who complain too much, drag you down. I'm like, fuck, that's me. Like, I'm that friend. And like a few years ago, like one of my friends, she started sharing like all this like love and light, inspo, positivity shit that was not like her.
I can't handle that.
And then at the same time, she wasn't replying to my text messages, you know.
She cut you out.
Well, that's what I was worried about. And so finally, like, I sent her a final text, and I was like, look, if you want me to go away, like, if I'm, like, dragging you, like, down, like, just tell me, but, like, don't ghost me. Like, just tell me.
Yeah.
And so she came back, she's like, holy shit. She's like, what's going on? You know, what happened? And I was like, I don't know, like, you're posting all this inspo shit. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm in a good mood. Like, she's like, you know, it's like, not everything's about you.
Well, now I'm thinking, like, there's people out there who are like, I haven't heard from Denise in a while. She's totally ghosted me out of her life. And that's probably not true because, like, I'm just, like, so crazy busy that I don't.
Well, and I feel like if I ghosted you out of my life, you pretty much know because you ghosted me too. Like, I don't think the people who are.
Oh my gosh, there's a lawnmower.
There is. Yeah, there's a lawnmower. This is going to be a terrific episode. Enjoy.
More to complain about.
Yeah, there's a lawnmower outside. Our voices are shrill. I mean, it's just too much.
Yeah.
But this is a toxic episode. But they, no, I think though that like the people who we've cut out are not. I don't flatter myself to think they're listening to my podcast.
Agreed. You
know, that's the thing when people are always like, what do you think people think of your book? You know, your neighbors are like, my neighbors don't read my books.
Right.
Like, it's okay.
Right.
Like I don't flatter myself to think that people hate read me.
Right.
But I think though that but I did try to cut out people because I don't like drama.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole, like, you know, someone calling me up, because I still like to be called. I don't like text messages. Like, yesterday I got caught in a text thread, and it was killing me. I was like, can someone just call me and tell me what you guys decide?
Oh,
like,
gosh, yeah.
I don't like to be text messaged. But I hate when someone calls you up and they're like, you know what Denise said about you.
Oh, I hate that.
You know, and I'm just like,
No.
bitch, I don't care. Like, I don't want to be caught. And so those are the kinds of people I cut out.
Yeah.
That and the high maintenance friends.
Yeah.
I can't deal with the high maintenance. Yesterday I got invited to a new to me group. Maybe they've already existed. I don't know. I like to think we're all new, but I think I just got added into this group. And she said in the intro, she was like, we're incredibly low maintenance and we intend to stay that way. So if that's a problem for you, don't join this group.
Oh, and you're like, hey, sign me up.
Yeah, I was like, you had me at low maintenance. Like, thank you. So I that's, to me, cutting those people out. What do you do about toxic family?
Oh, that's harder.
It
so like in-laws, like sometimes I just wouldn't go to events.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would stop. Like, stop going to events. Like I would still go to some of them, but some of them I would like stay away from.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't have as many in-laws here. It's more my husband who has the in-laws. I have a huge family here.
Yeah.
And I guess it was a few years ago, like as he likes to say, like right now we're coming into our season because we spend every holiday together between like Halloween to you know, Valentine's Day.
Oh wow. Okay.
Like if it's Tuesday, there must be a family potluck.
No.
And so I think maybe 3 or 4 years into our marriage, I would notice that he'd get very, very grumpy during the winter holidays. And I was like, what is your deal? I'm like, my family loves to celebrate. We're having so much fun. Yeah. And he was like, I don't enjoy this. He's like, I just saw them last Tuesday.
Right.
Nothing else.
It was just too much.
Right. He's like, nothing has changed. I have nothing new to add. Like, please. And so I started giving him an out. And I was like, okay, well then just come to what, I was like, I want you there on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Yeah. The rest of it, and our kids' birthdays. I'm like, the rest of it, I don't care about. Like, you can miss grandma's Tuesday potluck, dinner. I don't care. Right. So he was like, oh, okay. And then he was so much happier.
Right.
And I think that was good though, because we could talk about it and I didn't get like,
well, I think that's important. I think it's important for the spouses to be able to open about it. Like and the spouse, if it's an in-laws, the spouse whose family it is needs to recognize what their family's doing to the other person, to the other spouse, and either at least acknowledge it. And if they're not doing anything like really bad, but it's just like the spouse is an introvert and they're super extroverted and it's just too much to like say, okay, I understand that, and not try to change the spouse and make them do what.
I mean, we've never had the problem where like somebody says something horrible to him or me or whatever. Like it's more just, it's like you said, the introvert versus a very outgoing, outrageous family, and he's just like, I can't. I can't do it again, Jen. Yeah. And so I think that's good. But like a few times though, what I've said about him though is my husband's like incredibly loyal. Like there have been times where there has been drama in the family, and he just is always on my side, which I'm not sure I do that very well. And
for him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's hard for me to take. It's still really hard for me to take his side over, like, my parents or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I still struggle with that, where I have to sort of, like, or we each make the excuse, oh, they're old.
Right.
They don't know what they're saying.
Right.
You know, they're just ignore grandma.
Yeah.
Let's just have a nice meal for once, or we don't all
Right.
yell at each other. And so I'm like a peacemaker, kind of.
Okay.
But, like, lately I've been pushing back.
Okay.
Because I think it's good for my kids to see that. I
Yeah.
don't want my kids to just see... I just don't want them to see me always sort of making excuses for
Right.
bad behavior.
Right. Right.
So I kind of pick my battles.
Yeah.
Do you ever have that problem with in front of your kids, or?
No, like my family's pretty low key,
Mhm.
low maintenance. So we don't really have, like, on my side, I don't really have that issue. But like on my late husband's side, yeah, there was sometimes drama because they were like really uber religious and I really wasn't. So there would be some issues with that, and his family didn't like take to his divorce very well, so they didn't like accept me very well, and so there was some tension with that, and so yeah.
Well, I think the thing that like my husband has kind of worked on with me is like at the end of the day, it's like our little unit is the unit, the four of us,
Yeah.
you know, me, him, and our 2 kids, and
Yeah.
like, and then everybody else is extra.
Yeah, and that's how we are. Like, me and my kids were very, very, very close. Like, we were all together this past weekend, and multiple times. Like, even my son, who doesn't live at home, he came over twice this weekend. So, so we like consider ourselves our own close knit, nuclear unit, and then everything else is just like around us.
And then, I know you have a pretty open relationship with your kids, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to be like, you can tell me that I'm bothering you, or that you need some space.
Yeah, totally. If they need space, or like if my other kids want him to come over, and he's like, I'm just not feeling it, I'm like, dude, don't come over, you're fine. Like, there's very few occasions I'm like, you have to be here.
Well, because I think that's where the root of it is like in guilt.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely no guilt at all. Yeah, we want you to be here, but we want you to want to be here. You're no good if you don't want to be here.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think that's the thing is, and I try not to put too much guilt on people, and I try not to let them guilt me.
Right. Exactly.
And like you said, I think as we get older and we get more confident, and we know who we are.
Yes.
That helps tremendously.
Yeah. We start to feel like we actually have, we can take a stand and stand up for ourselves.
Yeah, it's like your worth, your self-worth, and your own boundaries, and setting those boundaries.
Yeah. And see, like, I used to be a major people pleaser. So, yeah, I always had to, like, make sure everybody was happy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, at the sacrifice of myself.
See, and I'm like, I think I'm a people pleaser. I think I was a people pleaser maybe once, like when I was 10. But then I think now I'm more like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Which is bad too.
Right.
So it's like I'm trying to fix that too. Because I almost went too far.
Right. Well, I think I'm middle of the road.
Yeah. I think that's healthy.
I still care. And then but sometimes I'll ask, okay, is this just guilt for no reason, or should you really care?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I have to get back to the middle, because I've gone too far to the extreme. I'm just like, I'm like, you don't want to come to my event? Fine, fuck you, I don't care. Don't come. You're dead to me now. You're dead to me.
Dead to me.
Like, you're all dead to me, and they're just like, I have I'm getting married that day. I don't care. You're dead to me. You should have been there. Like, it was important to me.
Yeah.
So I am trying to like fix that now, because I've swung so far.
Right.
But I think that's like a defense mechanism, because I'm just
I think it is. Yeah.
Like, believe it or not, everybody, I am a delicate fucking flower, and like things hurt me. So I put out like super hard barriers and boundaries, so that way I'm like, fine, I never want to see you again.
So do you ever like pull back from social media? Like, if you feel like you're feeling vulnerable, do you ever like pull back sometimes? I know I do.
Yeah, social media is different for me, I think, because social media is, it's almost where I can be my absolute self. Like, I'm probably the most honest on social media.
Right.
Social media, like say exactly what is on my mind. Like, you know, I know lots of my friends who have big social media accounts, like they plan a whole week's worth of like tweets and posts and all these, you know, all these quips they're going to put up and all these stories they're going to tell. And I am literally like, I am feeling this right this second. Like,
yeah, no, that's the way I am. Like, I drive people crazy who try to work with me. Like, whenever I hire, like, a publicist or somebody, I drive them crazy because I'm like, oh, I just came up with this idea. Let's do it now. Yeah. And they're like, wait, let's just, like, plan it. And I'm like, no, I want to do it now. It's kind of like I released these journal entries for Rose Gardner. Right. And so, like, it made sense. Like, I didn't write them till just yesterday. And so it made sense to wait and publish them or, you know, release them in my newsletter next week. But I'm like, no, I want to do it now. And so, like, the person who helps me with the newsletter didn't have time. So I just did it myself this morning. And so I know I'm thinking, oh, she probably is, like, thinking that... she doesn't like what I do. And I'm like, no, I just got a wild hair on my butt and I'm going to do it today. Like, I actually have a reason for it that I won't get into. But yeah, so like I drive people crazy. Yeah. Because I can't do that. I sometimes can, but I struggle to like plan far ahead. I'm just a minute. Like, come up with it. Let's just.
In fact, you can tell. Like, a burglar can probably tell when it's a good time to burgle my house because, like, if I'm gone, like, I'm not posting. Like, if I'm busy, like last week when I was recording the audiobook, you know, there were hours a day where I wasn't talking on the internet because I was, you know, it's like, it was like watching the debates the other night and I was on Twitter and people kept saying, it's unnerving to see tweets coming from the candidates, you know, while they're debating. Because, you know, someone in their office sitting there, like, you know, putting tweets up. Like, no one does that for me. And so, and I don't want that. Yeah. And so, and I don't censor myself a lot online. I just sort of spurt it out, and sometimes I get in trouble and sometimes I don't, you know, but it's like whatever is on my mind. And the internet is a place for me to sort of, you know, vent. Like, it's like my therapy in a lot of ways. Like, you know, some people are incredibly private and like, man, I'll like tell you everything you want to know, and except for my kids' names. And like, so for me, I'm just always probably oversharing on the internet. And people are probably really tired of that. Like, I mean,
I don't get that sense.
Well, I think the people who are drawn to me, but the rest of them are probably like rolling their eyes at me like, seriously, another time you got stuck in a bra? Like, you know, like, could we not hear about it at least one time?
The rest of us want to know.
Like, is there one time a day you don't choke on T-Gen? Like, you know, because I'm like, you guys almost died. So I think that for me, I don't pull back. I pull back from toxic people on the internet. Yes. Like, I will definitely, like, you know, you and I both have started accepting friend requests from like readers and stuff. People we don't know, strangers. Yes. And those people are there, and I'm happy they're there. Most of them, a lot of them. I have a wait list. I know you have a wait list of people who would like to be our friend as well. And when someone is toxic and obnoxious and driving me crazy or whatever, I have no problem like cutting that person out and adding someone new fun in. You know?
See, I do. I have problems with that. I hate to unfriend people. But I do if they're like majorly toxic. Then I do. Because I don't want to see that.
Don't hurt my
You can unfollow people and not see that, but at the same time, I'm like,
but I don't.
There's like somebody I've got like 200 people waiting on my friends list. So why not bring someone in who's much more positive and actually,
And that's what I'm hoping.
Be a positive influence.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Because I always feel like, well, shoot, you know, you're dragging me down, you're harshing my buzz, but I have all these people waiting who want to be my friend. Like, let me add one of them in. I mean, I do get a little nervous. Like, a few weeks ago, I added someone who'd been waiting a year to be my friend. Because I go back to the beginning.
That's what I do too.
Like, I go back to, like, you know, last one in, you know, you're going to be there for a while. You know,
right?
You sent me a friend request today. It's going to be a while. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the list. And it was someone who'd been waiting a year. And I said something about, like, I hope this person still even knows who I am. Like, I hope she's still out there. Yeah. And she came right away and she was like, it's me. And I'm so excited to be here. And I was like, oh, good. Great decision. Yeah. And so I don't mind cutting that out. But real personal friends is a little bit harder. And then family's the hardest.
Yeah. Family's really hard. Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying now with my kids, is to raise them so that we can talk about it and not have the guilt and not have the, I don't know, just the drama of it all. You know, we try to, I've seen a lot of midlife bites too with a lot of teenagers who are really disrespectful to their parents and how to handle that best. And, I was a big believer, unfortunately, I think the ship has sailed because I was a big believer in you make toddlers respect you because I saw so many,
that's what I did too.
Many disrespectful toddlers, and I was like, it's much easier to control them when they're 3 than when they're 13, and then 23. You know, and so it's like, so you kind of have to, and so now I'm trying to do that too. Like now that my kids are teens and tweens, I'm sort of setting the expectation of like, how are we going to act like when we're all adults someday? Like, what are we going to be like as adults? Like, you guys get to have your feelings too. You get to have your say on things, but we just always need to be honest and respectful.
Then my children disagree with me. Like if they're in trouble for something, they're more than welcome to protest, but they have to do it respectfully. And we'll have a discussion. And I have been known to change my mind. With a respectful discussion. And so I hope that teaches them that if they approach a problem in the future respectfully, then they're more likely to get it resolved in their favor than if they like blow up and lose their shit.
Well, and I just hope that prevents a more toxic relationship in the future. Like when we're all adults and we're trying to figure out, when you have so many kids to try to schedule, and it's like, just once I'd like to have everyone home for Christmas.
I know. I thought about that.
Like that is going to be so hard for you someday.
Yeah, Jenna, my 16-year-old says she wants to marry an orphan. Because she says, I'm not missing families. I'm not missing, holidays with my family. So Ross is telling us there's 2 minutes.
Oh, good. At least Ross was paying attention.
We didn't even get into like marriage and toxic relationships.
It's like a whole nother day.
Yeah.
Husbands and spouses, that's just another day, I think.
Yeah, that could fill up a whole half hour. So.
Definitely.
Definitely. So is there anything else then with family or kids or... another issue with kids is toxic relationships with their friends. When kids are in toxic relationships, and trying to point that out to them and help them see that and cut ties with that. That's a hard one because, several of my kids have been in relationships like that, and they don't want to believe that it's toxic. They want to believe that they're their friend.
That is a hard one. I try to... I just try to say stuff like, I feel like a psychiatrist all the time talking to them. I'm always like, and how does that make you feel? And what do you think about that? Rather than just like wanting to scream, like, that person is awful. I just keep bringing back to, and why do you think a friend would make you feel that way? Right. Why do you think a friend would do that to you? And
exactly. Yeah.
Because that's all I can do is to try to like point out to them and hope they
you can't
recognize.
tell them what to do. They'll never do it.
No.
So,
That's the thing. The minute I say cut them loose, they're going to marry them.
I know, right? Exactly.
So instead, I just have to act like, and what do you think of that?
Well, I'm like, my daughter, when she was much younger, she was in a really, it was like a middle school relationship. They weren't even like dating, but they were supposedly like boyfriend and girlfriend. Actually, she was a freshman. And like this boy hardly, like he would rather, when they were in band together, and so he would rather hang out with these other group of people than her. And I'm like, honey, that's not, he's being disrespectful to you, and you need to stand up for yourself, and you need to, because it's hurting you. You're crying right now. You're upset about this. And so if he really was your friend, boyfriend or not, if he was your friend, he would be upset and bothered that you were upset by his behavior. And he would try to at least address it. And so, she realized that, okay, this is, trying to teach your children that they are worth people treating them well, and that if someone treats them badly, that they need to get rid of them, that they're worth more than that. So, but that's a hard one.
It is. And it's hard to watch.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Especially when they're older and they're adults and you see things going on and you're like, oh, I have to really bite my tongue then. So, yeah.
It's a whole nother episode,
it's
too.
It's a whole other episode.
How many times we've had to bite our tongues.
Yeah, I know. It's surprising I still have one. All right. Well, I guess we have just finished episode 10.
Crazy.
I know.
I forgot to get our business cards. I was going to have them for us this week. I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have them for the next time we record.
Our mugs aren't here. Why aren't our mugs
here? We have mugs, too.
Yeah, we have mugs coming. So,
we have all kinds of fun stuff.
I know. We've got some mugs that say 2 Midlife Mommas. And
we got swag.
I know, right? Look at us. We're big time.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and be sure to subscribe so that we will just show up on your phone
Every Wednesday.
every Wednesday. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Denise here. I know you're sad because the podcast episode is over, and now you have to wait an entire week to hear us again. But guess what? You don't have to wait. You can listen to one of our audiobooks. Like to listen to true crime podcasts? I've got several mystery series to choose from. Or maybe you prefer to listen to podcasts about The Bachelor. Check out one of my rom-com series. You can find these audiobooks and many more at Audible, Apple Audiobooks, or check out my website, denisegroverspank.com, and click on audiobooks in the menu at the top. Happy listening!